Okay, let's roll into our winning team for tonight's 31st Annual Virginia 529 College Savings 250 here at Richmond International Raceway in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And our race winner is Kyle Busch.
I'll take him any way I can, man.
Thanks, man.
It's part of it, isn't it?
That's part of it. That's right.
He drives the number 18 Z-Line Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. He's joined by his crew chief, Jason Ratcliff, and Kyle tacks on another Nationwide Series win. It's his 51st.
Yeah, he did.
And he's got 8 nationwide wins in 2011, his 4th nationwide win here at Richmond. And Kyle, just talk about the evening. Certainly was a good performance. You had to be on top of your game to hold off those other guys tonight.
Yeah, well, Carl was certainly really, really good there. And I thought at first we were probably third or fourth place car, and then we kind of worked on it and made it about a second or third place car. And then there at the end, we were keeping up with Carl and thought it was about a second place car. And then that final pit stop, my guys really put the pressure on them, knowing how quick they've been on pit road all night. And they did it once again, and we were able to get off first. And I think Carl come off fourth. So when we had the restart there, he got mired back in traffic a little bit and kind of gave us some time and some room to get out. And then when he and Ricky started racing there a little bit, obviously, it took him a little while to get by, and we kind of stretched it out somewhat, not a lot. These cars are all pretty equal. It's certainly hard to have an advantage, but anytime you could get out front and stay out front, certainly I felt like that helped. And Jason and these guys made some awesome adjustments all night and making the car better for us and just being able to make it a little bit more drivable. And, like I said, every run we got closer. And then there at the last run, we just had track position and a good car.
Jason Ratcliff, certainly pit road was a big factor in tonight's outcome. But talk about some of the keys to winning tonight.
Well, there was, as Kyle mentioned, most of them there. There was a lot of things that had to go right, and it started with qualifying, getting a good pit stall. And then the guys did a great job on pit road all night, as Kyle mentioned. And it wasn't just pit stops. They were making, wedge and track bar adjustments every stop. They were working hard on it and getting it closer, as Kyle mentioned. But also, Kyle did a great job of communicating what he needed in the car tonight. And as the night progressed, the track changed a little bit as well. And the track changed more than I anticipated, from practice to race even. When we started the race, it was unexpected how much different the track was tonight than what we had today with our race car. So, as Kyle mentioned, we had a top 5 car to start, and he kept doing the right things and communicating what he needed to be better. And then the guys just did a great job on pit road. And just, it paid off on the end. When we needed the money stop, they got it. This 60, I don't know what happened there, but it was a good win for us.
We'll take questions now for Kyle or Jason. If you have one, raise your hand, and we'll take questions. Dustin, and then a man here. Go ahead.
Dustin Long, Landmark Newspapers for Jason. Maybe Kyle can answer this. When you talk about the track changing so much, can you give me a sense of what it normally is like and how this was so more drastic?
Is this for me? Usually, we have you kind of get a feel for what it's going to be in the morning practice. Nationwide cars always practice in the morning. Then the Cup cars go out there and you pretty much run a full race on the racetrack. So it's always different. But you kind of anticipate what it's going to be, and you know how much to adjust your car based on the previous notes that we have from this racetrack. And tonight, I anticipated that forward drive would be a big deal tonight, and we made some adjustments for that. But it was a much bigger deal to start, when the race started than I thought it would be. And we continued to work. That was the main thing we had to work on all night. And I didn't feel like it would be. I felt like we would have to work on that, but the center would be what we needed to work on all night. So it kind of caught me off guard. It went a little further than I anticipated on the drive off, or losing drive off from practice to race. So and some of it could just be this new car. I mean, we don't have a lot of laps here on this new car. This is only actually we raced it here last year, but for us, just our third event with this new car. So we're still learning with it, but the track definitely went further tonight than I anticipated.
Go ahead.
Dave Lawrence, Richmond Suburban Newspapers. And, for both of you, you've worked together for quite a while, and how much of your ability to communicate is just your communication skills? How much of it is just intuitive understanding of what the other person is saying?
I think it's just a lot of experience that we have working together. In practice today, I was very short. I was just like, and he's like, okay, I got it. So certainly there's times where he's got to think about or watch the car and what it's doing on the racetrack, and I can't give a whole lot. Sometimes when you run around here after a couple runs, 3 or 4 runs on tires, the changes he makes, they just feel numb. You don't feel the change in the car anymore. So you've got to go off instinct. You've got to go off notes. You've got to go off, each other and just, well, hey, if I'm going to do this, what do we think it's going to do later? Or, if the track does that, what are we going to need in order to get our car to do this? We need to make the car turn better in the center. So it's just all of that makes Jason so good, and us during the race, certainly we came a long way.
Let's go up to the press box for a question. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Kyle. Brian Belansky from RacingWire.info. There's some talk of losing focus with running the Nationwide Series and the truck racing and having that affect your Sprint Cup effort. That hasn't affected you much, obviously, with a great season in both. And 4 of the 5 Cup drivers in tonight's race are in the chase. So there's maybe not so much validity to that. What do you get from the Nationwide weekends that helps you in the Cup Series? And are you going to cut back on some of those other races during the chase to focus on the last 10 races?
We're going to cut back a little bit in the chase. I think I only have 3 races here for the rest of the year, so it's going to be short-lived through the final 10 weeks. But it's good for me. It's good to run the races. I like being able to get out there, get the added experience, and just get the laps around the racetrack and feel the tire and feel the car and what it's going to do throughout a run and how it's going to change. And tonight we made a lot of adjustments that seem to help our car that we can certainly use for again tomorrow, and play with some of that stuff during the race and try to help our car if we need to, start in 13th.
Anything else in the press box? No more questions?
All right.
Okay, let's come back downstairs. Bob?
Bob Parker, Racing Daily for Kyle. For about the first half of the race on the restarts, you'd get away from Carl for a couple laps, but then he would just really be strong for a while. I mean, did you ever figure out why that was?
Well, we were certainly working on that through the whole night and trying to get our car better. I think it was just, we were too loose up off the corner. The first run of the race, I was really loose all the way through, and then we'd get tight, and then, I'd start losing ground in the center. So there at the end of the race, I was actually really good and could put the power down off the corners and sort of got my gap that I had. But the last 8 or 5 laps there, Carl was catching me again, I think. And that's just getting tight, just getting a little bit tight in the center of the corner, so not being able to roll it as good as we wanted to. Our car didn't stay as consistent throughout a run as theirs did, but certainly there at the end the track position mattered, and just being able to get out there and get a little bit of a gap helped us.
Any additional questions? Kyle, congratulations on yet another win, and good luck tomorrow night.